You know why we need to talk?
I assume it's my mom's car.
This is Douglas R. Reed, acting like a complete dork after brutally murdering his own mother.
Because otherwise, all we have to do is just sit here and assume the absolute worst, right?
What's the absolute worst?
But what Douglas doesn't realize is that the police were already one step ahead of him. They know that he was the only other adult in that house, where her mom's dead body was found, who mysteriously vanished in the middle of the night. Now, Douglas will try to do anything to convince the detectives that he is innocent, unaware that his life is already over.
Between you waking up and you leaving, there's more went on at the house than what you're telling us, okay? We both know that. Fair enough. No. That spot right there on your pants is your mother's blood.
What?
Right
no,
there.
that's from, that's
stop,
from my...
Stop. Yes, stop.
A little after 7:30 a.m. on February 6, 2025, law enforcement in Mattoon, Illinois responded to a welfare check at a home on the 800 block of South 23rd Street. The family member called and said they hadn't heard from the homeowner, 60-year-old Lori Ames, and something felt wrong. When officers entered the residence, they made a discovery no one was prepared for. Lori was found lying in her bed, unresponsive, with catastrophic blunt force trauma to her head and face. Paramedics pronounced her dead at the scene. Lori was a mother, a grandmother, and a familiar face in the neighborhood, the kind of woman who kept a steady routine and a peaceful home. But this morning, something violent shattered that routine. And it wasn't just Lori who had been inside the house. Her young grandson had been asleep in his bedroom while the attack happened. What detectives didn't find inside the home was an equally important person in that home: Lori's son, 31-year-old Douglas R. Reed. He had vanished sometime during the night. When investigators finally located him, Douglas gave them his first version of his ridiculous story. He claimed he left the house at around 2:30 a.m., drove towards Minier, Illinois, and went to find a friend who could help him with looking for a job. According to him, he had no idea what happened to his sleeping mother after he walked out the door. But as you're about to see, Douglas's version of events didn't just fail to add up. It collapsed the moment detectives began asking basic questions. Because what Douglas doesn't know is that the police were already tracking all of his movements from when he left the house that morning up until he was caught by the police for what was initially a car theft. By the time he sat down in the interrogation room, investigators weren't trying to figure out what happened. They were waiting to see if Douglas would admit what they already knew.
Sound good?
Yeah.
Okay. Doug, I'm Alex S. I'm a detective here at Mattoon Police Department. Real quick, couple things got to tell you. Okay, one, you're at a police department. The room's audio, video recorded, whole place is, right? Second thing, we got to tell everybody, victim, witness, anything, we got to let them know what their rights are because you're talking to the police, okay? Those are, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you in court. You have the right to have an attorney and have him present during questioning. And if you can't afford one can be appointed to you free of charge. You understand what those are there for?
The interrogation opens with standard procedure: removing handcuffs, reading Miranda rights, and gathering basic identifying information. Douglas is fully cooperative throughout, and chill. Too chill for someone whose mother had just been brutally murdered hours earlier.
Okay. All right. Can you tell me your morning? What time you think you woke up this morning or so?
I got up around 3
a.m.?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that a normal time to wake up, or just woke up, or, I mean, you an early riser every day? Couldn't sleep, just...
It was... might have been more like 2:30.
Okay.
I took my mom's car.
Okay.
I was going to go up to Pekin, or not Pekin, but Minier. And then it didn't have enough gas in it, so I drove to my dad's, took his truck. Already dealt with that.
Mm-hmm.
said I was just gonna walk up there.
What's up there?
I've got some friends.
Okay. All right. What time did you leave home?
About 3.
About 3. Okay. Have you been back there since?
No.
No. Okay. You wake up 2:30ish. I'm not holding you to exact minutes, just ballpark time frame. Okay.
Right.
You wake up there around that time. What do you do?
I put the same pants on that I wore yesterday, and my boots, my hoodie. I already had my bag packed.
Okay.
And I go get the fob out of my mom's purse.
Where was her purse at?
In the living room.
Living room. Okay.
So, and then I get in the car and take off.
Okay. Talk to anybody while you were awake? Anything like that? Anybody in the house?
No.
Okay. So you take off there, go to Dad's, take his truck. I understand you had to run in with Moultrie County or maybe Shelby County or a combination of the two. Tell me about that.
So my dad apparently was already awake, called it in, took my, so they took the plates of the truck and they followed me, and then I see there was a cop behind me, so I just pulled into my dad's work and parked it where he normally did, and that's where they got me.
Okay.
Douglas makes a big point out of acting like this 3 a.m. departure was just a normal morning and heading out without speaking to anyone. And when the detective asked the obvious question, why he woke up and left the house that early, Douglas doesn't answer it. He just quietly adjusts the time to 2:30 a.m., as if that somehow solves the problem. Detectives notice immediately that his memory seems selectively foggy. And when someone's story starts falling apart this early, it's rarely because they don't remember. It's because they do.
All right. What was the plan up in, how do you say it, Minor?
Minear.
I
was just going to see some old friends from high school.
Okay. Did you have that planned out, or?
I didn't really plan it out with them. I haven't had contact with them, but I'm really struggling to find work around here, and I was just going to go up there and see if they could help me out with jobs.
Okay. How far away is Minor?
Like 2 hours.
2 hours away. Okay. Still pretty early to show up there, especially unannounced, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean.
Well, I've got like one of my buddies. I was trying to catch him before he went to work. See if I could crash on his couch.
Okay. Still, I mean, that puts you up there around 5 a.m. or so. You know, very early to get a knock on the door, especially unexpected.
Whenever you like go to work at 6 o'clock, not too bad.
Okay. Okay.
Douglas tries to frame his early morning escape as a harmless trip to see old friends and maybe get help finding work. But nothing about that explanation matches real-world behavior. Nobody shows up unannounced at 5 a.m. hoping for career advice, and Douglas never explains why this couldn't wait until daylight.
You know why we need to talk?
I assume it's my mom's car.
Okay. Anything else that there might be? Nothing.
No.
Okay. What's your relationship like with you and your mom?
Not bad. We have arguments and stuff, but that's normal.
When's the last time you had an argument with her?
Like a week ago.
But you would say overall it's pretty good. What would you say your relationship with your dad's like?
That's kind of sketchy at times.
Okay. if you got a good relationship with Mom, did she know that you were going to Minear?
No, I took her car without permission.
Okay. Why not ask?
I don't have a valid driver's license, and I knew she'd say no. And I'd asked her to take me up there before, and she's like, "No, that's too far. I'm not driving that far." So.
Is that a source of kind of irritation between you guys, or what?
No, not really.
That right there is a lie. As you will see later, Douglas himself would contradict that argument they had last week. Douglas starts shaping the narrative he wants detectives to believe, that he and his mother had a pretty good relationship, and that nothing about the morning was unusual. But when tension between them is confronted, everything freezes. He hesitates, stalls, and then insists it wasn't an issue at all. It's another early sign that he's working hard to minimize conflict that will later turn out to be central to the case, and detectives pick up on it instantly. What Douglas didn't know was that detectives already had a clear picture of what happened inside that house, and every careful pause he took here was about to clash violently with the evidence they were sitting on.
Okay. You may have said, when's the last time you talked with your mom?
Last night.
Okay. What was that conversation about?
My son's birthday.
Okay. What's the plan for that?
We were gonna have people over for Saturday, but I was just gonna go up and see my friends up north. I'm not a birthday party person, so.
So you weren't gonna be there before? That was your plan, was to not be there for the party, or?
Yeah.
Okay. How come?
I mean, I didn't have any money to get him anything. I mean, there's this Amazon card, but I couldn't find anything on Amazon. I was going to try to get somebody to give me money for it and, possibly come back down on and see him on his actual birthday.
Okay. So when you leave, tell me about leaving your mom's house. Tell me your house. Tell me what door you leave out of, things like that.
I carefully walked down the hallway and went out the front door.
Front door, okay.
What do you mean by carefully?
I didn't want to wake anybody up, so.
And who was asleep?
My mom and my son.
They're the only two that live there with you?
Yeah.
How old's your son?
At this point, Douglas is still pretending this is just about his mom's car, and his behavior shows it. He keeps a calm, almost casual tone, but every time the timeline comes up, he hesitates and stutters like he's editing his story on the fly. He also barely moves in that chair. Innocent people show confusion or restlessness when they're sorting out a misunderstanding. Douglas sits completely still, like someone trying hard not to let his body speak. Right now, Douglas leans heavily into a story built around emotional deflection, his son's birthday, money troubles, and not wanting to disappoint anyone. It's a sympathetic angle, but it conveniently shifts attention away from the growing list of things that don't add up. As you'll see, this version won't survive long.
Okay. All right.
When you leave, you lock the door behind you?
Not if it's that early.
So did you today? Didn't lock the door today? Okay. Why wouldn't you lock the door?
My mom normally gets up at like 6 o'clock, so I normally don't think much about it then. I don't feel like much is going to happen in 3 hours.
Okay. Well, Douglas, obviously, between you waking up and you leaving, there's more went on at the house than what you're telling us. Okay, we both know that. Fair enough. No.
No, I left it at 3.
Okay. What happened before that? You woke up. What happened before that?
I grabbed my bag and I drank some milk in the kitchen and I left it on the counter and then grabbed the fob out of her purse and went and...
Did she try and argue with you about the fob?
No. She was asleep.
Douglas brushes off every concern, as if leaving the door unlocked at 3 a.m. and slipping out of the house is completely normal. But the moment the detective suggests something else happened, he snaps into stiff denial and starts padding the timeline with random chores. But that story will not hold for long, as the detectives will soon confront him about what really happened.
Okay. Well, there was obviously an incident between you two this morning. Okay. So what we're giving you the opportunity here is for us to understand that incident. Okay. Because if we can't understand your side, if we can't understand where Doug's coming from, right, we can only just assume the worst. But most of the time, there's reasonings behind people's actions that can make a lot of sense, right? It can make something that people can't understand to say, okay, I understand how things escalated or how things got to here or why we're at this place, right? Okay, but those all come with explanations, and I can't explain that. He can't explain that. Only you can explain that. Only you can explain what transpired to cause the altercation this morning. Okay, that's something that only you can explain to us, and that's important for you, Doug. Okay, it's important for you sitting in this room right now to explain, because otherwise all we have to do is just sit here and assume the absolute worst, right?
What's the absolute worst?
The absolute worst is...
Take a deep breath. You know what we're talking about, bud. Okay, take a deep breath. Okay? The sky's not falling. Okay? It's time to take responsibility, show some remorse, and let's move forward. What's done is done. Okay? We just need to know why. We already know the who, the what. Okay, we're not talking about the car. Okay? You're not a bad guy. Okay?
Something obviously happened this morning that set you off, and we need to understand that.
The moment the detective stops entertaining Doug's morning timeline and directly names the incident, everything in the room shifts. Doug goes quiet. His face goes flat. And the cooperation he showed earlier disappears. That single question, what's the absolute worst, is his last attempt to pretend he doesn't understand what they're talking about. But his silence says otherwise. This is the point where suspects often realize the detectives know.
Okay? But we can't sit here and pretend that nothing happened this morning.
Doug, let's have some honesty about what's going on, okay? Are you okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Take a deep breath. All right? You're holding back. Need you to be honest. Okay? You haven't been truthful so far. Not 100%. It's important that you are. Okay? The sky's not falling. Okay?
Pretending that nothing happened doesn't make this go away. It doesn't. Okay? But when everybody makes mistakes, everybody screws up every day, right? The only thing we can do is take accountability for those and try and explain what happened. That why is so important, okay? It's so important. And you may not feel like it sitting there right now. You may be nervous and scared, and I can appreciate that. I understand that, Doug. I truly, truly do, all right? But sitting there pretending like you don't know what happened to your mom isn't going to change anything, and it doesn't look good. It makes it look like you don't care, and I don't think that's the case. I think you care about your mom, and I think you care about your son, okay? I do. I believe that. But you've got to help us understand what happened to set you off this morning for that to happen. All right?
Doug, you understand where we're coming from? There's got to be a reason. Okay?
What
You're not a monster.
Stop with the what happened. Okay?
By now, Doug is backed into a corner, and everyone in the room knows it. The detectives drop the gentle approach and start spelling it out for him. Pretending nothing happened isn't believable anymore. And instead of giving them anything real, Doug keeps clinging to denial and deflecting every push the detectives make. But Doug has no idea things are about to get much worse. Because detectives are about to reveal the first piece of evidence, he can't talk his way around.
Because we can sit there and play that, but I would wager a lot of money right now. First off, I guarantee you know what we're talking about. And second off, I'd wager a lot of money that spot right there on your pants is your mother's blood.
What?
Right
no,
there.
that's from, I can, that's
Stop.
from my...
Stop.
Yes.
Stop.
I can show you on the inside of these pants where it's from my pubes, where I shaved.
Stop.
I really can.
No.
What set you off this morning with your mom?
Oh.
No, we're not doing that.
No. Hey, stop.
See?
Okay.
It's my pube blood.
Doug, you need to take a deep breath.
Button your pants, take a breath.
This is denial at its absolute peak. Confronted with what is his mother's blood on his pants, Doug panics and reaches for the most bizarre excuse imaginable. But no matter how desperately he tries to explain it away, that stain will become one of the most damning pieces of evidence tying him directly to the murder.
Explain to us what set you off this morning with your mom.
What's going on? This is out of character for you. Would you agree? I mean, this is not something that you planned, is it?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I plan to leave.
We don't
Right.
know you to be a violent person, right? We know there are violent people in our community. We know who they are. You're not one of them, Doug. So,
You got Mom's card.
okay. Take a deep breath and explain what put you in that state.
This is the moment Doug cracks. After all the denial and deflection, the detectives push just hard enough for his facade to finally give. His quiet, "I plan to leave," isn't a defense. It's the first slip that shows he's done fighting the truth.
That matters so much here. That matters. Saying I don't know what happened doesn't fix anything, doesn't change anything. We're way past that, Doug. Where we're at is what happened to set you off. That this happened. And only you can explain that. Otherwise, we think that you've been planning this for months and months that you were going to do this. Is that true?
No.
Okay. So it was just spur of the moment?
What happened? Was there an argument?
Can you take a sample?
What happened?
We'll
Was
worry
there an
about that
argument?
later. Was there an argument with your mom?
Not recently, no.
Then what
I mean, a few
happened?
days ago.
What happened?
She was asleep whenever I left.
Doug, we're done with it. We're done with that. Okay? We're past that. That's not the case. We both know it. Okay? We both know it. Here's where we got to put our best foot forward. Okay? And we've got to try and explain why we did it. That's all there is to it. That's all there is to it is an explanation. You owe that to yourself. You owe it to your mom. You owe it to your son. Plain and simple, Doug. It's time. How old are you?
31.
31. You're a 31-year-old. It's time to be a man and take some responsibility. It got out of control this morning, obviously. Again, you're 31, and we have no history of you being a violent individual.
Would you agree
None.
with that?
Yeah.
You're not? Okay. Did you agree what happened was out of character for you?
I mean, it's like the third time I stole a car.
This is the emotional whiplash moment investigators expect from collapsing stories. Doug briefly cracks, acknowledging something set him off. But the second the detectives press for clarity, he slams the door shut again. He even tries to shift the conversation to petty theft, as if stealing cars is the real issue in the room. This flip-flop is exactly what detectives look for. The suspect, who accidentally tells the truth, panics, and then scrambles to rewind the tape.
We're not talking about the stolen car. We're talking about what happened with your mom. Couldn't care any less about the car. I couldn't. What happened to set you off with your mom? Was it upset about the party? Upset because you couldn't afford something for your son? Was she ragging on you about not getting a job and making you feel bad? Was it,
she did those, she ragged on me about not having a job.
Okay. Was she upset? Did you take some money from her or something?
No.
And didn't she find out, or? I don't know. This is something that has to come from you, because I don't know that.
Something happened for you to attack your mom this morning. And you're the only one that can tell us what that is. You're the only one, Doug. It's time to take some ownership and some responsibility here. You owe that to people. You owe that to yourself.
Look, what happened? What happened? Take a deep breath, okay? Take a deep breath.
I'm done talking.
Doug, this is your, look at me. This is your chance to try and help right a wrong, okay? There's times in our life when we've got to swallow our pride, know that we screwed up, and we've got to fix that, okay? And this is your one chance. This is your one chance to fix that for yourself and for your son. And you need to sit there and you need to think about that for a second. Because we walk out of this room, you're never going to have that opportunity again. Do you think that deserves that? You think he deserves the truth? I think he does. And you know he does too. You know he does. And to sit there and not do that is a disservice to him and yourself. And you're better than that. It's time to own up to it. Be a man. We're past if it happened. We're past who did it. We're past that. I'm not asking you if. I'm asking you why. And you owe that to them.
Detectives drop the soft approach and go straight for motive, throwing out every trigger to crack the wall around Doug. For a moment, it works. He admits his mother had been nagging on him. But the moment the attack comes up, he shuts down. Doug knows his lie is collapsing, but admitting it means facing a violence he can't undo. Doug spent the entire interrogation insisting nothing happened in that house. But now, with nowhere left to hide, he finally says the words detectives have been waiting for. One that only comes from someone finally out of excuses.
So either you're just a bad person who just did it just because and you just don't care and screw her and screw your kid, or something happened that set you off that explains why a guy that we don't have a violent history of did something violent. Those are the two options. Something set you off, or you're just a bad person that's slid under the radar all this time that we should have been looking at better. One of the two. There is no in between on these.
It was about the job.
About the job.
Nagging me and then made me feel shitty about not being able to get him anything for his birthday, and then that's...
And listen, my kid just had a birthday. Okay? I can appreciate that. I can appreciate feeling like you're not getting him what you want. Things like that. Okay? I can appreciate that. That's the one thing that you want to do as a dad, is provide for him, right? Okay? Feel shitty enough that you can't. I can appreciate that. Things are expensive. Money's tight. All right? And then to have somebody that's supposed to be on your side nagging you about it. I get that, okay? Was that going on again this morning? Or was it last night and it just boiled over and you just couldn't take it anymore?
It was last night.
Okay.
This is the moment Doug finally buckles. After all the dodging and denial, the detectives corner him with a tactic that works on suspects who aren't hardened criminals: emotional alignment. They stop arguing facts and start validating his stress, the job problems, the birthday guilt, the feeling of failing as a father. And the second they do, his defenses slip. It was about the job, he admits, almost automatically. It's the first true fracture in his story, and the detectives know it. From here on, Doug isn't fighting the accusation anymore.
Is that why you couldn't sleep and you're up at 2:30 because it's just still eating at you? Okay.
It shows that you're human. You're not cold-blooded.
And it's emotions, man. Okay? That's so important. So important. Okay? You wake up, you go into her room, what happens?
I just go nuts.
Okay. What'd you use? What'd you hit her with?
Hammer.
Okay. Where was the hammer at?
In the garage.
So you go out to the garage to get it? Was she awake or asleep when you went in the room?
Asleep.
Asleep. Okay. Where's the hammer now?
It's off in the ditch in Shelby County.
Okay.
I'm not really sure.
How many times did you hit her?
I don't know.
What made you stop?
I panicked.
Okay.
So emotions kind of calm back down and you stop? I mean, you think you hit her once, 5, 100? What do you think?
I have no idea.
No idea? Just kind of blacked out when you were doing it, or what?
Yeah.
Okay. So when you stop, what happens?
I panic and leave.
No emotion, no build-up, just a flat, I just go nuts, followed by quick, matter-of-fact details about the hammer, his sleeping mother, and blows he doesn't know how many times he delivered. It's mechanical, almost detached, like he'd already accepted the story long before speaking it. And the moment those words leave his mouth, the detectives shift gears instantly, now scrambling to lock down every detail and piece of evidence that will hold this confession in place.
Okay. Did you wipe stuff off? Did you clean up? Did you change clothes? What's going on?
This was it.
Okay. So what's that blood?
That's mine.
That is your
From my
blood?
groin.
Okay. So you did that, but you didn't get any of her blood on you don't think?
No.
Okay. You leave, you steal her car. Okay. You take the hammer with you then?
Yeah.
When did you get rid of it?
While I was in the car.
While you were in her car?
Out the window.
How do you know you were in Shelby County?
My dad's house is over there, and he's like just on the Shelby County line.
So were you close to his house when you threw it out?
I mean, it may have still been Coles County, but I was out in the country over there, and it was dark.
How far away from the house your dad's house do you think it was?
I don't know, 2 or 3 miles.
2-3 miles away from his house. You think which you throw it out the driver's window or passenger window?
Driver's window.
Driver's window. Okay. You understand why it's important to tell some of this and explain some of your actions, that there was a lot going on with you, rather than just like, I thought it'd be fun to do. You understand the difference?
Yeah.
Even after confessing, Doug insists the blood on his pants is his own, not as a deflection, but because he genuinely seems to believe he left the house without any trace of the attack on him. And detectives know that when someone's memory, shock, or denial starts colliding with the physical reality of a crime scene, the only way forward is to break the story down piece by piece. So the detectives switch gears. They begin walking him step by step through the early morning, because the next phase of the interrogation is about reconstructing his movements hour by hour.
Who was all present when this happened?
Just me, my mother, and my son.
It's you, your mother, and your son. Where was your son at?
His bedroom.
And when's the last time you saw him awake?
8 o'clock the night before.
You didn't see him before you left?
Not awake.
Not awake. Okay.
Just leave his door open.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Okay. And what time do you think this happened with your mom?
Around 3.
So that time frame is accurate, that 2:30 to 3-ish.
3 a.m.
Yeah.
So you had the argument with her kind of last night, and then it just ate at you all night. Did you sleep at all, or did it keep you up all night?
Kind of kept me up all night. That's true.
Okay, sure. And then, had you ever been violent with your mom before?
No.
Did you call anybody?
No.
Text? Message anybody?
No.
What was the reason for going the route you were going? As far as route, I mean, where you were located, actual location.
I was headed to Minear area to see some old friends.
Okay. Did you stop and get some money?
There was a guy that gave me a ride after Shelby County, and it was $20.
Gave you $20.
Now that the confession is out, Doug starts answering questions with a level of calm that's almost eerie. He starts answering questions without hesitation. But when the conversation shifts to where he went afterward, his answers get vaguer again. And detectives notice that shift immediately, because the hours after the attack matter just as much as the moment it happened. So they try to extract everything they can from Douglas to get to the most important thing of all, the evidence. And for the next 10 minutes, the detectives and Douglas go back and forth, trying to get to the bottom of where the hammer was thrown. But the detectives weren't really getting anywhere. So the detectives decided to circle back to what led to that violent outburst.
Okay. What was it that your mom said that really upset you?
She just would keep repeating herself over and over again about, oh, you need to find a job, and I really struggle to keep jobs whenever I find them.
Why is that?
Failure to show up on time.
Okay.
Tardiness is a big one.
Okay. So how did this argument, was it in front, in the living room while you're watching TV?
It was in the living room. It wasn't like we were really screaming and yelling a whole bunch. It wasn't like we woke my son up or anything.
Okay, so he was asleep when the argument occurred. Yeah. Because he went to bed at 8, and you said the argument happened about 9?
Yeah.
So no screaming, nobody up in each other's face? She wasn't in your face, you weren't in hers?
No. And then we had a big argument earlier that day about my son and the Xbox, and she went and got him a tablet.
Okay. And anything wrong with that? By wrong with that, are you upset that she got him a tablet?
No.
Okay.
But she kept complaining that I didn't let him use the Xbox, and that was set up in my room, and
Okay.
we had kind of scheduled times where I'd let him
Okay.
use it.
What do you think happened between 9 and 3 to make you get to this point?
I have no idea.
No idea?
Doug frames the night as nothing out of the ordinary. A small argument, some frustration, a few hours of restless drifting between sleep and irritation. On the surface, nothing here explains the sudden leap from annoyance to lethal violence, and the detectives can feel that something in his story isn't being said out loud. And as you will later see, there was something he eventually revealed that cast this shift in a far more troubling light.
What do you think is different from, because you said that maybe not every day, but it's not uncommon for you and your mother to argue, right? So what's different from a previous argument where you've never been violent before to this argument that took it to that extreme? Why was this so different? Does that make sense? Does that question make sense to you? Like why did this argument send you into this rage where you did this, but what was different about it?
Stress from my son's birthday and all that.
Okay.
It was just kind of kept building and building, and
Have you ever thought about this before?
no.
You've never had it to the point that it's built up and you thought about it but you didn't go through with it?
I mean, I've had brief thoughts like that before, but normally brush them off.
Right. Okay.
You know,
Towards her or others,
Well,
or anybody when things weren't going right, or what?
in general. But I didn't feel like it was any more than like a normal person whenever they get really stressed out.
Okay.
Did she wake up at all after the first hit? She was out after the first one?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think. I don't really remember a whole lot from that
Okay.
moment.
This is the moment where Doug stops trying to trace a logical path to what he did. He isn't defending himself or offering excuses. He's acknowledging how quickly everything escalated and how little control he felt he had. His answers show a man trying to piece together a night that spiraled faster than he could process. And the detectives can tell they've reached the part of the story where emotion overtook reason.
I think if you're driving to your dad's, you know where you're more in the right frame of mind then. You took your mom's vehicle, you wanted to go to Minear, you are with it enough that say, hey, I don't have enough gas and I don't have gas money, so I need to go to my dad's, try and get his vehicle, see if it's got more gas in it. Okay, so you're thinking clear at this point, right? And I understand that maybe you got turned around on a road, but not enough that didn't keep you from getting to your father's house, and then knowing how to get to his work and parking where he parks. So you're with it at this time. Okay, you're thinking right. I think that you're also sitting there thinking, I need to get rid of this hammer because I don't need to be driving around with it. I think you probably have a fairly good idea. It may be dark, things like that, but I think you probably have a fairly good idea where that hammer's at.
No.
When you stole your dad's truck, who arrested you? Sullivan or Moultrie County?
Moultrie County.
Okay. They pull you over?
Yeah. Well,
I don't know how that went down.
I pulled into the Gingrich parking lot there and pulled up where my dad would normally park. And
Okay, you said that.
parked there, and the lights came on.
Okay. What'd you think? What was going through your head?
Oh, shit.
And why oh shit? Because you stole the truck, or because of what happened with your mom? Or all the above?
All the above.
And then as far as us picking you up, or whoever arrested you?
Did, like, disbelief. The whole thing seems pretty crazy.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. What do you think, Al?
I have no idea. I'm either going to the psycho ward or going to the jail.
Why do you say the psycho ward?
I've been there quite a few times.
Okay, can you talk to me about that?
They've diagnosed me with bipolar, schizophrenia, up in Champaign at either OSF or Carl.
When Doug suddenly shifts to talking about past hospitalizations and old diagnoses, it isn't an attempt to dodge responsibility. It's a glimpse into how overwhelmed he is by the reality of what he's done. After admitting the violence, he's now confronting the aftermath. And the first thing he reaches for is the only framework he knows to explain himself.
I don't remember which one.
Okay.
I think I went to one first and they moved me to the other one. I think I went to Carl and they moved me to OSF. But I was there for a week, like a year and a half ago.
Okay.
Then I've been to Cedar Bush, I think 3 times since then.
And what are the reasons for all these? Like, what made you get to the point you had to go there?
Whenever I worked at Animat, I was having weird visions and flashbacks of things that like didn't even happen. And then
Have you had those recently, or?
I don't know.
Not that you know.
Yeah.
Fair.
Do you take medication?
No.
Or have you been encouraged to take medication?
Yeah, but the medication gets me all zombied out.
Okay.
And,
have you tried to talk to the doctor about adjusting that medication?
I've talked to them before about different things, and it, just doesn't seem to help what they give me.
Okay.
So.
But this morning, you were kept up on and off all night, thinking about it, upset about it, dwelling on what had happened.
When Doug describes his past hospital stays and the visions he once experienced, he shares it without emotion or defensiveness. Just straightforward answers to the detective's questions. He isn't using it to justify anything. He's simply laying out pieces of his story as they ask for them.
And then when you...
I also feel like she pushed me to make her adopt him.
Okay.
Allow her to adopt him.
Okay. So had she done that?
She was working on it.
Okay, so she was trying to kind of force your hand a little bit on adopting your son, and you didn't want to give up that parental right to let her adopt. Okay. You wake up this morning, and obviously at some point you decide like you were going to go do this, because you said you went to the garage to get the hammer and then came back, so it wasn't just like standing there and the hammer was...
I pre-planned taking the car, but not...
After pre-planned taking the car after you did this?
No, that was... I had that...
So your initial plan was to just
take the car.
Take the car and go, and then she just pushed you over the edge, and you just finally had enough and woke up, or on and off, and had this plan. And I say plan because you'd been thinking on it. You left, you went to the garage to get the hammer, came back, went to her room, and did it. So that's when I say plan, I'm not talking about a plan for days, but I'm talking about when you woke up and you walked to the garage, you knew that you were going to get the hammer to go in and do this.
I mean, that was all of about 5 minutes.
Sure.
That was pretty instantaneous. That wasn't really planned out.
Yeah, and again, yeah, I'm not saying planned as in the long-term plan, but I'm saying, like, when you walked to the garage, were you going to the garage for anything else, or did you go to the garage to get the hammer?
I mean, yeah, I went out there for that and just came back in.
So you went out there to get the hammer to come back in and do it, is what I'm saying, right? Was there any point that you, like when you're going to get that, where you're like, should I or shouldn't I, or you had just made up your mind and it was just time to do it?
It was kind of a blackout moment where there wasn't a whole lot of thought.
You just kind of made up your mind on it and just did it. That's fair enough.
Pretty impulsive situation.
That's fair enough. I can't think of anything else that I need to ask him right now. We'll want to probably take a couple photographs here in a few minutes, and you need to swap out your clothes, probably, things like that.
Camera's right there if you want to do it.
I don't know if here's the. Yeah, just hang out for just a second.
At this point, the detectives have already gathered a solid motive from Douglas, and with his confession complete, the detectives shift out of interrogation mode and into evidence recovery. They gather Doug's clothes, photograph him, and prepare to move him out of the room. At this stage, Doug is simply compliant. And when officers ask him to help locate the hammer, he agrees without hesitation. It's a calm, almost passive acceptance of what comes next, marking the end of the interview and the beginning of the final steps investigators need to secure the case against him. Right after the interrogation, Reed was taken into custody and formally charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of obstructing justice for discarding the hammer. He was held without bail as prosecutors began building a timeline anchored by his own confession. What he told detectives, the route he drove, the discarded weapon, the last moments inside that bedroom, would become some of the strongest evidence against him. But instead of fighting it in court, Reed surprised everyone. On May 29, 2025, during a pre-trial hearing, he waived his right to a jury trial and changed his plea to guilty. And with the plea entered, Douglas Reed was immediately found guilty of first-degree murder. The additional charges were dropped as part of the agreement, but the consequences were still severe. At sentencing, the judge handed down 58 years in prison, with credit for time served. A sentence Reed must serve at 100%, meaning he will not walk free until late into old age, if ever. It was the legal system's acknowledgement of the brutality of the crime, but also of the clarity of the confession. There was no ambiguity, no mystery left to resolve. For the community, the case closed as quickly as it broke open. A mother gone, a son now growing up without either parent, and a town left trying to understand how an argument in a quiet home spiraled into irreversible violence. If you found this breakdown informative, make sure to hit subscribe, tap like, and let me know in the comments which case you want us to cover next.